Curtin FM News, brought to you by station sponsor 7 News at 6 o'clock.
It's 7 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Heather Miller. 9 people have been injured in a crash on Great Northern Highway in Upper Swan. It's believed 4 cars and a truck were involved. St John Ambulance says 1 person is being taken by helicopter to Royal Perth Hospital and the others are going by ambulance to Royal Perth and Swan Districts Hospital. At least 1 person was trapped in a vehicle after the crash, which happened about an hour ago. Labor has backflipped on its opposition to the indexation of the fuel excise. The ALP once labelled it Tony Abbott's Bowser Bandit tax, but is now throwing its support behind the measure. It will add a little over $3 billion to the budget bottom line over the next 4 years and about 40 cents to the average tank of petrol. Finance Minister Matthias Cormann says the deal came with strings attached.
What we've said is that all of the additional net revenue will be invested in additional road infrastructure and obviously that will be done and that will help strengthen growth and opportunity into the future.
A former terrorism suspect is defending his comments on live television where he criticised proposed citizenship laws. A coalition MP is demanding ABC panel show Q&A be taken off the air after it allowed Zaki Mallah to ask a question in the studio audience. The Islam activist claimed the government's actions and views are leading Muslims to join ISIL, but he's told Channel 10 he's not encouraging anyone to take up arms.
And I expressed my views in the best way I did, in the best way I could. Maybe the tone of voice was a bit harsh, but look, I stand by my words. I stand by everything I said last night, and I'm willing to have round 2 with this minister in relation to these citizenship legislations that he wants to put forth before the Parliament.
Changes to the Citizenship Act will be introduced to Parliament tomorrow, but the Greens say it won't make Australia safer. Labor has given its support to strip dual nationals of their Australian citizenship if they're foreign fighters or convicted terrorists. The Attorney-General is confident the amendments are constitutional. An El Nino event is tightening its grip on Australia's climate and increasing the risk of drought. The Bureau of Meteorology is warning the already confirmed El Nino is strengthening. It says Pacific Ocean sea surface temperatures have remained at least 1 degree above average for 6 straight weeks. And the family of a young rugby league player who died from a head injury suffered in a game in Queensland is pleased his organs are being donated to help someone else. Stephanie McDonald reports.
James Ackerman passed away yesterday, 2 days after the Sunshine Coast Falcons prop was injured during a tackle in a game against the Norths Devils. Overnight, Tom Ackerman revealed his brother has donated his organs on the Support for Acker's Facebook page, liked by more than 9,000 people. He added he's proud of what he achieved in his short life and is honoured to call him his brother. The QRL has also set up a trust fund to support the 25-year-old's 2 young children and wife. In Brisbane, Stephanie McDonald, Macquarie National News.
And to sport, Dockers coach Ross Lyon says 4th place Collingwood present a strong challenge when they clash on Thursday night at Domain Stadium. Both sides are coming off a bye and Lyon says the Pies are a well-balanced team. Former tennis champion John Newcombe is tipping former quarter-finalist Bernard Tomic to make a charge at Wimbledon, while Nick Kyrgios's unsettled Wimbledon preparation has taken another turn. The Australian star splitting with coach Todd Larkham less than a week before the Grand Slam starts. Socceroos midfielder Ben Halloran has linked up with a new team in Germany on a 3-year deal, and US Golf Open champion Jordan Spieth is set to return to Australia this year to defend his Open crown. Weather details next.
Curtin FM News, brought to you by station sponsor 7 News at 6 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Heather Miller. Motorists will be paying more at the Bowser after Labor added its support to a permanent fuel excise. Some of the money raised by the indexation will be used to upgrade regional roads. The move will add more than $3 billion to the budget bottom line. Dual nationals convicted of terrorism offences may soon lose their Australian citizenship, with changes to legislation to be introduced to Parliament tomorrow. Labor has now given its support to the watered-down plan, which would also affect foreign fighters. Immigration Minister Peter Dutton has told the ABC the government has been forced to take a tough stance.
We don't want to render people stateless, but we do believe that Australian citizenship is a very, very serious obligation.
More than 500 school jobs could be on death row following a planned decision by the WA Labor government. Labor MLC Sue Ellery says a budget estimate hearing revealed a number of education assistants, teachers and administration and support staff will receive a letter in the coming days to advise them that their position is registrable, with potential sacking within 6 months if the government can't find them a new job. The Barnett government made changes to the Public Sector Management Act last year, making it easier to sack public servants who couldn't be redeployed. Pakistan's Prime Minister is calling for emergency measures as the death toll from a heatwave tops 450. The BBC Shazed Jalani has the story.
Health officials are saying that, many of these people who have died were elderly and they came from low-income areas, so which means that, Pakistan, currently many people are fasting because it's the month of Ramadan. They fast from dawn to dusk. Plus, there are massive power outages in Karachi and other cities. So that may have contributed to the situation. The Prime Minister has now ordered the Disaster Management Authority to set up heat stroke relief centres with the help of Army.
Jehovah's Witnesses say they are fully cooperating after the Sex Abuse Royal Commission announced a public inquiry into the denomination. A spokesman says the witnesses consider the safety of children to be of the utmost importance. The hearings will investigate the group's handling of allegations. Skinny jeans are being blamed for cutting off the blood supply to a woman's legs. The 35-year-old couldn't walk for 2 days after her legs swelled up and went numb, causing her to collapse. Royal Adelaide Hospital neurologist Thomas Kimber says the woman developed compartment syndrome after spending the day in a squatting position while helping a relative move houses.
Fortunately, over the course of about 3 or 4 days, the muscle swelling improved and the nerve damage improved to the point where she was able to walk independently by the time she left hospital, but she did have some ongoing weakness, but I'm pleased to say since then that's fully recovered.
And now to sport, Dockers coach Ross Lyon says he hasn't spoken to suspended midfielder Ryan Crowley about a possible return to the team when his 12-month ban finishes in September. Crowley is banned from training with the club, but Lyon remains confident the 31-year-old can make himself available for selection if the Dockers make it deep into the finals. The FFA has decided to appoint 3 full-time professional referees for the start of the A-League season and has slammed Brisbane Raw's failure to pay players and staff for the month of June, as the embattled A-League club's financial issues continue to fester. Samantha Stosur ramps up her Wimbledon preparations tonight. She's in second-round action at the event in Eastbourne, and the Australian PGA Championship will become the richest golf tournament in the country following an agreement with the European Tour. Where the details are next.
Hi ladies, Karen Wardrop from Kings Park Fashions here with great specials for our end of financial year clearance. This week we have 20% off all our pants in stores. That includes warm winter pants, fleecy pants and jeans. A new shipment of the very popular black pepper label has arrived, so we are stocked up to give you a great selection of colours and sizes. So many other bargains as well. So make sure you come in this week. Station sponsor Kings Park Fashions, Myrie, Rockingham, Mandurah, Balcatta and Joondalup Upgate.
Perth's weather, clear skies this evening, mostly sunny tomorrow with a top of 8.
Curtin FM News, brought to you by station sponsor 7 News at 6 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock. Good evening, I'm Heather Miller. The government's proposed changes to citizenship laws are expected to receive Labor's backing when they're introduced into Parliament tomorrow. Federal Parliament reporter Olivia Leeming.
The Prime Minister has unveiled plans to strip dual nationals of their Australian citizenship if they're convicted of terrorist offences or they flee Australia to become foreign fighters. But they'll still be able to appeal the decision in court.
We're going to act very firmly in Australia's national interest.
It's a watered-down version of the government's original plan, which some ministers feared was unconstitutional. But Greens leader Richard Di Natale says the new laws won't keep Australians safe.
If you've got somebody who commits a serious crime, you lock them up in jail. This doesn't do that.
Labor will be briefed on the legislation tomorrow, but has given its in-principle support. Olivia Leeming, Macquarie National News.
Labor has also offered its support to an increase to the fuel excise, despite previous opposition to the plan. The ALP is now throwing its support behind the measure, as the move will add $3 billion to the budget bottom line. Shadow Treasurer Chris Bowen admits it was a difficult decision to support the tax hike.
This is not an easy decision for the Labor Party. We know, of course, that this is a decision which some people will be unhappy about. But we are happy to make difficult decisions, not unfair decisions.
At least 6 people have been injured in a multi-vehicle crash on Great Northern Highway in Upper Swan. One of those hurt in the crash is reported to have life-threatening injuries and was flown to Royal Perth Hospital. The crash happened about 4 o'clock this afternoon, where 2 cars collided near Apple Street. Doctors are welcoming another $500,000 in state government funding aimed at extending a program to reduce the number of preterm births in WA. The trial's operating out of a clinic at King Edward and will now run until the end of June next year. The hospital's Professor of Obstetrics says it's a world first. The World Bank will give $650 million towards reconstructing quake-devastated Nepal. More than 8,800 people were killed during the 2 quakes in April and May. Nearly 500,000 houses have been damaged, leaving thousands in need of food, clean water and shelter. Official ceremonies are taking place on the Japanese island of Okinawa to mark 70 years since the end of the Second World War's last great land battle. The BBC's Rupert Winfield-Hayes reports from Tokyo.
It was the last battle of the Pacific War, and so bloody that it's claimed to have led directly to the US decision to drop the atom bomb on Hiroshima. Whether that's true, there is no denying the horror. Japanese soldiers were ordered to fight to the last bullet, Okinawan civilians to commit suicide rather than surrender. At the end of it all, on June the 23rd, 100,000 Japanese soldiers lay dead, another 100,000 civilians.
And to sport, Australian netball coach Lisa Alexander will tomorrow name a squad of 12 for the World Cup. After the intense Trans-Tasman netball final on the weekend, she says there's a lot of big decisions to be made. And in footy, Brisbane veteran defender Matt Maguire has retired from the AFL after 170 games with the Lions and St Kilda. The 31-year-old made his decision after experiencing ongoing symptoms from a concussion he suffered almost 2 months ago. And Dockers ruckman Aaron Sandilands says their dip in form leading up to the bye round was due to a breakdown in structure. Sandilands says errant kicking also played a part in the close result against the Gold Coast Suns. They take on 4th place Collingwood at Domain Stadium on Thursday night. Your weather details are next.
And up to date, Drive with Barry Nicolls on ABC Local Radio WA.
Footy. To me, to you, to me, to you. Cricket. It was the Ashes. I could have won them, but I bowled it wide. Rugby. I'm not putting my head up there. Tennis. You cannot be serious. Lawn bowls. Oh, and that's a bad miss. Running, jumping, and all that stuff that makes you look tired and sleepy. There's everything to play for and forever to play it in. Sport.
This afternoon, Heather Miller with us from Curtin University. G'day, Heather.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. Freo, of course, been the form side throughout the year, although over the last couple of weeks, seemingly coming back a tad here. I mean, they got over the Gold Coast, but only just.
I think Freo narrowly avoided a huge AFL upset on the weekend. That, in terms of ladder position, that could have been the biggest upset in the league's history. And the Suns did surprisingly really well, spending the final quarter chasing Dockers by almost less than a 1 goal for the entire time. Luckily, they did pull over the line, and I think when they lost to Richmond last week, who broke their 9-game winning streak, it definitely took a hit to their confidence. One would have thought, definitely, as we just heard there from Lee Spur, that they would have come out and absolutely dominated the Suns, but they didn't. And luckily for Nick Subban's final minute goal there that sealed the deal, I'm not really sure. They seem to need to get their head back in the right space. I think that the bye has come at a perfect time for them.
All right, so Freo, nice little rester in the middle of the year. A bit of R&R, as Ross Lyon said. Let's talk West Coast, a big win over Essendon. Here's a sample of what happened.
Spilled out Lacroix, sold the dummy from the right forward pocket. That is a special goal.
Lacroix and Kennedy doing some good things on the weekend. I mean, how do we judge West Coast? I suppose in the ensuing weeks, that will get a much better feel for how they're travelling.
Yeah, it was a massive 50-point win for the Eagles this week, and again, coming back from the bye next week, I think it's gonna show us really what they're about. And we've got to remember this week they had Jack Darling and Xavier Ellis returned from injury, and their forward line completely blew us away. We had Darling, Lacroix, and Kennedy racking up 9 goals just between them. So if you'd have to imagine coming back from the break, the team will start kind of fine-tuning some of those lines and come back even stronger. That was Darling's first game back, and he scored 2. So I can only see the Eagles getting stronger, to be honest.
Really? Okay. Well, they're going to be tested. I think they've got some stronger sides to play over the next few weeks, so we'll see how they travel there. If you're just with us, Heather Miller, my guest from Curtin University, final year journalism student. We're talking about sport this afternoon. Let's talk basketball, Heather. The Golden State Warriors, one game away from the NBA title following a... how have you assessed the way the Aussie players have travelled throughout this series, or this final?
I think it's amazing. Before the playoffs against Chicago, for the Cavs, very few outside Ohio and Australia would have even known the name Matthew Dellavedova. And now the entire States has gone into this kind of frenzy of Delhi mania. So his form has just kind of skyrocketed completely each week from strength to strength. And he's gone from like a part-time role on the bench to what the US has been tossing up through the presenters and the players is arguably the second most valuable player in the Cavaliers lineup behind the one and only LeBron James. So that's pretty incredible. And we have to agree, Dellavedova is just playing immensely at the moment. He has got a bit of a title. They've thought he's a bit of a dirty player at sometimes, but again, you hear it from even the players on the field. They say it's all in the name of the sport. He's out there to win, and he's representing Australia really well, in my opinion.
What about Bogut? He hasn't really had the court time, has he?
No. So this week, he didn't get on the court for the Warriors. They stuck to a bit of a small lineup, so he didn't get any field time. But like you said, they're only one game away from the NBA title, so hopefully he gets some more field time in the next match, and it's exciting. They're representing us, so. Can't wait.
It is. It's been a great advertisement for basketball. Let's talk cricket. Australia's wrapped up the second test against the West Indies in Jamaica within 4 days. What did we learn there, Heather, do you think, from that trip to the West Indies?
Oh, I think we've learned that the Aussie team is definitely focused, they're determined, and they've shown that they're very lethal. So Clark, before the two-test tour of the Caribbean, he was in an extremely tense press conference, and he told his team basically just to forget about England and focus on the task at hand. Don't worry about that. But now, as they're getting on the plane to the UK, he's all smiles. Everyone's grinning. They're all excited. They're happy. And if anything, this visit to the Caribbean has told us that the boys are heading there they're in top form both physically and mentally, and it definitely could be ours this time. And I mean, even Steve Smith, he's officially been named the world's best Test cricket batsman, and is the only one to do it since Clark back in 2012. So I think we're looking tip-top.
Looking pretty good as we lead in. Smith has had an incredible run. To finish off with Sally Pearson, who will be obviously missed at the World Championships in August. She broke her wrist.
I think we lose a lot. She's the team captain, and like the coach has said for Athletics Australia, that she's got leadership on and off the field. She gets on really well with the athletes. So they have lost someone there that they can all kind of look up to and look for inspiration. However, in saying that, it's kind of understandable in a way. Pearson had never broken a bone before this happened, and the doctors described her wrist as a bone explosion of like an extreme severe case. They initially gave her no time for recovery, so she's going to need to get over that physically and mentally before even coming back. But she's turned her attention to Rio, which is next year. So, I mean, they have lost a leader for this round, but they will have her there still on the sidelines, I'm sure, to cheer them all on.
Heather, great to chat. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Here's Heather Miller.
It's that time of the week again. Welcome back to Perth Soccer TV. We're down here at Dorrien Gardens tonight, and we'll be back here on Sunday when the boys take on Wellup Croatia in the FFA Cup. Make sure you come down and support them, and stay tuned for some more. Hello, Heather Miller for Perth Soccer TV. We're down here at Dorrien Gardens tonight, but we'll be heading to Rosalie Park this weekend, and the Azzurri are looking in top form. Perth Soccer TV is proudly sponsored by Tess Electrical and is proudly supported by 3 Geeks Media. A massive weekend. The boys have secured themselves a spot in the final 32 of the FFA Cup, and we play ECU Joondalup this weekend. Stay tuned, you're watching Perth Soccer TV.
3-3 and then down to 10 men, and obviously the first thing that's gone through my mind is like, we don't want to let this game go, so made a couple of changes in terms of formation, and also made a sub, bring Josh Brewer on, just to again bring on a bit of experience in a big game as it was. And look, at the end of the day, came down to a bit of magic by Reece particularly that got us through.
The Azzurri have secured a place in the national round of 32 and we'll wait to see who they'll draw on July 1st when they go up against 22 state-level clubs and 10 A-League sides.
As much as we'd love to have a A-League team at home, I'd like to sort of find a decent NPL team where we can go out and compare standards and compare where we're at compared to some of the other states. Ideally, I'd like one of those games that it's going to be competitive, rather than sort of pick an A-League team where you're not expected to win. Whereas if you do get another NPL team, there's a good chance that you could progress into the final 16.
The last time Perth SC played competitively on the national stage was in 1968 when the old Azzurri made the semi-finals of the Australia Cup. The win also means they place in the State Cup final on September 12 against Sorrento FC, who defeated Bayswater in penalties on Saturday in the other semi-final match. You're watching Perth Soccer TV. Welcome back. We're down here at Dorrien Gardens. We're versing Sorrento this week and we're over a quarter of the way through the season, so we're checking in with our head coach Taki Nicolls as well as our new signing David Cyrus. If you want more of Perth Soccer Club, make sure you follow us on Twitter and like our Facebook page and you'll see all of our match reports and previews as well as anything going on inside the club. Make sure you stay tuned, you're watching Perth Soccer TV. The Azzurri continued their impressive away form in the National Premier League with a 2-0 victory against Balcatta in the Italian derby at the weekend. Midfielder Dean Evans opened the scoring inside the first 10 minutes when his well-struck volley from the top of the penalty box took a deflection and crashed into the net. Striker Ashley Rosendale got the second just before half-time, poking the ball in after a goal-mouth scramble to secure the points for the Azzurri. New signing defender David Cyrus had an impressive debut, transferring from the opposition just this week. The win saw the Azzurri push up to third place on the NPL ladder, 3 points behind league leaders Bayswater City and Florey Athena after 5 rounds. It's also their 14th win away, including draws, since 2013. At only 19 years old, Nathaniel May is already classed as a champion boxer. He's in the top 10 for the world, second in Australia and first in Asia Pacific. Nicknamed Cheeky, Nathaniel fought his way to the top to win a World Youth title, but there has been no rest since.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty fit at the moment, so yeah, just can't wait to fight.
The Bunbury boxer is back in the ring next weekend for a friendly in Perth, but he says this fight will be a little different.
I'm used to having an orthodox fighter, so we have his power hand's his left hand, mine's my right, so he's going to be opposite direction as me.
And says it's a challenge he's ready to take on.
It's going to be a different style of fight for me, so it's going to be good to have my first Southwest in a professional ring.
It seems the gym is producing a number of Southwest sensations, with newly turned pro Daniel McGlashan sharing the floor. He has been training side by side with Nathaniel.
To do sprints on your own sucks, but when you get someone else doing it with you, it's not so bad. You get someone to compete with and that, so it pushes you more and more.
Both boys head to Perth next weekend. Heather Miller, GWN 7 News.